See, girl, you gotta get yours and don't even trip about it. Just make sure your rent's paid. You know what I'm saying? All that love, marriage, and happily ever after crap, it ain't real. It's sex, lies, and violence, honey, straight up. Oh yeah, he's gonna hit you. You can't take it personal, though. Life ain't nothing but pain. You just can't let them see you feel it.
Mama.
We're breaking the curse.
Yes, indeed. We are here to break the curse. And once again, it's Chris and Carol Green, and we're here to talk to you about before you say I do. And it's really been great as we've been able to talk and share with you about the dynamics between males and female and relationships. And in our last session, we talked to all of the men about the female circle of contentment. And this week, and this time here, we're going to have my wife Carol talk to the ladies about the male circle of contentment. And that big question: what do men want? What do they expect? And all of those kinds of things. But before we do, we always begin each session with this very special prayer, and it'll come up on the screen for you, and you can just join in with us and just pray this together. Come on, here we go. Just begin together right here. Lord, I pray that the word today would find good soil in my heart. I reject the spirit of offense. Where the light of your word exposes my sin, I do not take offense. I will repent and turn to you, my heavenly Father. I reject condemnation. Your word says, there is therefore now no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. This word does not come to condemn me, but it comes to heal me. I reject accusation. Satan is the accuser of the brethren, and this word does not come to accuse me or abuse me. This word exposes Satan and his lies, and I choose to believe and receive the truth. God says in his word, blessed are my eyes, for they see, and my ears, for they hear. For many prophets and righteous men desire to see what I see, and did not see it, and to hear what I hear, and did not hear it. Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things from your word today. Okay, and here we go. We're ready now to talk about the male circle of contentment. And my wife's going to talk to all of the young ladies now about what all of us men
ladies,
mean.
In whatever season of life you are in. Okay, for the male circle of contentment, there are four general areas that we're going to go through. Number one is ego security, economic security, espousal security, and empowerment security. So we're going to start with ego security. And the first title here that we're going to discuss regarding ego security for men is regard and affection. And another word, this best describes what a male ego is. It's the need for regard, his need for affection. That this is what gives him ego security. Your regard for him, your respect for him, in Proverbs 31:26, it says, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. Song of Solomon 2:3, like an apple tree among the trees of the woods, so is my beloved among the sons. I sat down in his shade with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. So this Proverbs 31:26 explains what regard and affection means for a man. When you open your mouth, you open it with wisdom. You're speaking kindness to him. You are wise in what you say to him. Just like he is to wash us in the word, we are to do the same for him. What we say to him, we need to be careful with what we say to him. When we're angry, You need to be careful what you say when you are frustrated. You need to be careful what you say. Speak kindness to him. Let the law of kindness come out of your mouth when you speak to him. Make sure that you do take the time to tell him the things that you like about him. Speak to him with kindness. Speak to him with wisdom.
I got a big question for you then, because I can hear some ladies saying, "Well, I don't think he deserves for me to talk to him like that because of how he treats me." So,
my thought is, okay, so is what's going on then is you are planting seeds. And if someone doesn't take the time to stop and plant seeds that are going to bring healthiness to your relationship, you're going to constantly get what evidently there is a cycle going on there. You're both speaking badly to one another. It has to stop somewhere. Let it begin with you. It is supposed to start with the male. But if he does not see that, maybe he's not saved, maybe he has not been taught this or hasn't seen this in his growing up in his own household, and maybe he hasn't been a part of a men's ministry that teaches this. So it needs to begin somewhere. Decide to begin to speak to him with kindness, with wisdom. You are not only responsible to your husband, but you are responsible to God in what you say to the man that God has given to you, the man he has brought into your life. And even if you have made the decision and found someone for yourself, there is a responsibility that you have towards him.
I don't think women realize how deeply their words affect a man because of this word ego. In fact, many times I've heard women use this phrase, say disparagingly, in fact, they refer to it as our little ego. And I don't think that women understand that it hurts us just as much to use the phrase little ego as it does when a man refers to a woman as just being emotional.
It is
in a negative way.
It affects us.
It affects men the very same way because just like a woman has been made to be a very emotional, personal, feeling, all of that. Or for man, the emotion aspect or the feeling aspect of our life is in our ego. It's in the.
It's more mental than it is emotional for them.
Yes, it is. And so when you attack our ego. And that's not pride. When you say ego, you're not talking about
You're attacking
pride.
the way that they think, the way that they process thoughts.
Yeah. And you have to respect this aspect of being a male. We live in a world today where so many men have messed up and have done things wrong, betrayal and adultery, and just the list goes on, that there is no more respect for men, period, for just not only men but male, whether it's a boy, a baby boy, an adolescent boy, a teenage young man, a young adult. There's just total disregard of the male aspect of society. And so
much so that even education is directed, it is structured toward educating a female rather than a male mindset.
And so when you live in a world where everything about maleness is put
rejected.
down, is rejected, then women, you have to realize that when you take on that attitude, and I'm not here to attack feminism and all those kind of, but you have to understand that the feminist mindset is against male, and when you adopt that attitude and that disposition in your marriage, you're going to destroy your husband. You're going to destroy your relationship.
Sons.
You're going to destroy your sons. If you have any sons, you'll spend so much time trying to make them into a woman. And you said, I'm not trying to make my son into a woman. Yes, you are, because you keep disregarding the maleness of him. You you keep telling them to sit down, stop, quit playing. All of that is male. There's totally boys to get dirty, to tumble, to run. All of the things that are totally male, fighting, aggression, all those things you keep telling it irritates you about your son or about your brother or about your uncle or about your male cousins or about your husband. Everything that's male, it irritates you. And so you have to understand that irritation is going to destroy every male relationship, from your sons to your brothers to your husbands to your father.
At the very least, alienates.
It alienates. And so we have to have ego security as much as you have to have emotional security. And so that's really it. In fact, women tend to affection communicates to you a man's love, but a male, in other words, you'll keep trying to give a man what you want. You want words, so you give him words. You want affection, so you give him affection. You want love expressed a certain way, so you express that love to him. And the reason why he keeps pushing that away or disregarding it or seems to disregard it is because that's not a man's love language. You keep communicating to a man the way you want to be loved, and he doesn't get it because that's not our love language. Men must have regard. And another word for that is respect. And you said, well, you got to earn my respect. Well, no. The issue is that the thing that's hardest for men to do, the Bible said for men to love their wives, but he said for wives to submit. And we keep hitting that word, and what do you mean submit? And I don't mean be a servant and all that kind of stuff, but here's the better way for me to express the word submit. Respect. That's what the word comes down to. Wives, respect your husband. It's a choice.
And tell him the things that you respect about him.
Yeah,
and you respect him above any other man. He is just like Song of Solomon 2:3. It says, like an apple tree among the trees of the woods, he stands out among every other man in your life.
Yeah.
He is your beloved. You love him more than any other man.
So you don't keep talking about how great the pastor is. You don't keep talking about how great your boss is. You don't keep comparing him to somebody else's husband and other men. Oh, man.
No. It says, I sat down in his shade with great delight. You enjoy his company above all others, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. There is nobody else that can satisfy or bring fulfillment into your life like your man. Okay.
All right.
And the next one is under ego security is respect characteristics. Proverbs 12:4 says, an excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who causes shame is like rottenness in his bones. And 1 Peter 3:3, do not let your adornment be merely outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Rather, let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God. So we're talking about respecting his characteristics. It says, our excellent wife is the crown of her husband. We are the glory of our husbands. We bring glory to our husbands when we respect their characteristics, their uniqueness, the things that about him that are different than anybody else, the things that attracted you to him in the first place. There are things that are specifically and unique to your mate that is not like any other. And you respect those things in him. Try not to ever cause him shame. I have made it a point, never to talk bad about my husband to anyone, particularly when you're mad. You know, you'll have a tendency to say things you don't need to be saying. Make sure that you never put down your husband. particularly publicly. Don't even do it in private. Never put him down. Respect his characteristics. There might be things that you don't yet understand about him. Take the time to understand why he does what he does. Those things that might irritate you or frustrate you. There's a reason why he does those things. Find out first before you put your mouth on him. We have a bad habit of doing that. Take the time to find out before you speak. Breathe, pray, ask God, what do you need to say? How do you need to approach the matter? 1 Peter 3:3. Don't let your adornment be merely outward, the arranging of the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Don't let that be what you put your whole being in. Rather, let it be the hidden person of the heart. That's a gentle and quiet spirit. That's incorruptible beauty. To have a gentle and quiet spirit. I'm a person who can be loud. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about who you are, what motivates you, how you handle different situations, how you handle different circumstances, how you handle the difficulties in life, how you handle when you're having a disagreement with your mate. That's what we're talking about. How do you handle that? Are you gentle? Are you quiet? Or do you just go off and give vent to your emotions? How do you handle it? Do you wait? Like I said, just breathe. Ask God, how do you need to approach it? How do we need to handle it? What do you need to say? How do you need to pray? That's very precious. And it says here, it's very precious in the sight of God for a woman to have a gentle and quiet spirit. Now, if it's very precious to God, believe you me, it's going to be very precious to your husband, to your mate.
I can tell you. And as being married to a woman who is very expressive, and believe me, she is not a doormat. My wife is no subservient slave, and I don't walk on her. Very expressive, and many of you who are watching this video who know her, you know that she's no doormat, but she has a gentle and quiet spirit, even though she's very expressive, and as she says, she can't be loud. So a gentle and quiet spirit does not mean that a person may be a quiet person. The issue is that her spirit is not restless. She's not. That's what you mean by a gentle and quiet spirit. She's not seething with anger. She's not.
I'm not
she's
bitter.
Not boiling on the inside with frustration and anger and wishing that she was out of this marriage and out of this relationship and all of that. When I come home and when we come home together from work or from ministry, I'm glad to be home. I'm not making a long, slow trip home and dreading when I walk in the door, because even if my wife is very quiet, in fact, there are many women, they're extremely quiet. They never say anything, but their spirit is neither gentle or quiet, and they hardly say anything, but their spirit is raging. They're enraged in anger and bitterness and frustration.
And I know, and we all know people who are like that. Yeah. They're uncomfortable to be around.
And they never say anything to anybody, but their spirit isn't gentle and their spirit isn't quiet. Yeah.
I tried to make my home a place of safety for him. And when he comes home, he can rest. He can find peace. Even when we have disagreements or we need to talk about something, I don't attack him when he comes in the door. I wait until we had time to come home and to relax, and then sit down and talk and have a mature conversation.
Oh yeah. Took a lot of years to get to this point, but we can tell you can, and it does work.
It does. The next area for ego security is reverence and ordination. 1 Peter 3:1 says, "Wives, likewise be submissive to your own husbands, that even if some do not obey the word, they without a word may be won by the conduct of their wives." When they observe your chaste conduct, accompanied by fear, do not let your adornment, again, be merely outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Wives, this is talking about reverencing his ordination. God ordained man to be head of the household. So we are to reverence that he is the head of the household. He is the leader of the household. And I make a choice to submit to what God has put in order. I submit to him as the head of this household. I reverence that place. I don't try to move ahead of him. I let him make the final decision. It is a choice.
Wow. And those are tough ones, especially when you see that we're about to make what is, in your view, a bad decision. How do you handle when it, especially because we've had some really rough times. We've owned 3 homes altogether in our life, and we've lost 2 of the 3 of the houses that we've ever owned. How do you continue to reverence and ordain a position when you're going through stuff like that?
And for me, I respect this man. I continue to respect this man because he does his best to follow God. I look at myself. I am not perfect. I don't always make the right decision. But we make an effort. I see in this man the earnest desire, the press to make the right decision, to follow God to the best of his ability. I can respect a man even when he makes mistakes. I can respect a man for that. And I respect this man for that. Respect him for trying to follow God, for following God the best way he can. When he makes mistakes, he made a mistake. You are there to encourage him, to build that man back up, to pray for him, to keep him covered, to protect him, to protect his heart. We were taken from his rib, from that side. We're to protect his heart. That's where we came from. We are to protect that heart. Reverence his ordination. Reverence the place that God in the place that God has put him. Reverence him. And I don't mind serving my husband. I am here to serve him. That is not a bad word. Submitting is not a bad word. He has not made this a chore to serve him. He has made this a joy. I love him. I enjoy being with him. I enjoy spending my time with him. So he has made this a joy. And God has blessed me for it. He has blessed my relationship with my husband. He has blessed my relationship with my sons because of it. He blesses me because I choose to reverence his ordination. I choose to reverence him as head of our household. Okay, the next area of ego security is, actually the next section is economic security and the job employment. Proverbs 16:26. The person who labors for himself, for his hungry mouth drives him on. Genesis 2:9. Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So Adam gave names to all cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. So for a male, economic security, for him to have a job brings him security. It's not his identity, but it helps to give him value. When he has purpose, when he knows what his purpose is, there is security for him. In Genesis 2:9, God gave Adam the ability to name every living creature. And for each and every man, God has given him a specific ability. And when that man has found that purpose, when he has found his purpose, he is secure. his labor, as Proverbs 16:26, his labor, when he labors for himself because his hunger drives him. And it's not just a physical hunger, but it's a hunger to do, to be of value, to have purpose. That's what the hunger is.
And it takes us a while to learn that balance, because I remember once every time I get locked in on my purpose and doing things, because I'm a writer, and as a writer, when I'm in the midst of writing a book or songs or things like that, I'm so focused. I mean, I can just do that. I mean,
He loses sense of time.
10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, I could just do that and forget. I ain't gonna say forget that I have a wife and children, but I just, once you get started, you get on a roll, you're going, because I found what I love to do, and I'm able to do it. And so sometimes, ladies, you may feel like those things are now more important to him than you are, but that's not it. It's just that there's nothing like when we get a job, but it's the job and it's the employment. It's what we actually love to do and what we are created to do. Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous thing when a man finds something that the
God-given purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can go and go.
Yes, we can.
The next area of economic security is work enjoyment. And we just talked about that. Ecclesiastes 2:11 says, "Then I looked on all the works that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled. And indeed, all was vanity and grasping for the wind. There was no profit under the sun." Men do not want to feel this way about their job or career. Yeah. They want and need work enjoyment. They need to know what their purpose is and find that job that fulfills their purpose. Yeah. There is nothing like being married to a man who loves his job. When you have a happy husband, a happy man, you are happy. The children are happy. There is peace in your home. Yes, life is good. The next area under economic security is fund deployment. Proverbs 21:20 says, "There is desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it." Proverbs 31:10, "Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life." Men find security in knowing everything is taken care of, whether he does it or she does it. It is good. There is security. Your husband has security when he knows that you won't squander the money that is made, that it will be spent wisely, that the time that they have put even in doing their jobs won't be squandered. It says something that hopefully you really don't mean. It would say that you don't really appreciate what he does on a day-to-day basis. There are things I would not want to be a man. There are things that they have to deal with each and every day in this world that's hard. To me it's ugly, and they have a way of dealing with life that we just can't. They have a capacity to deal with hardness, to deal with the hard things in life that we just do not have. So it's good when our husbands are able to have no fear about how we spend the money that comes into the household, that we will take care of the bills, that we will not even squander the allowance that is given toward handling the different bills and taking care of our needs, taking care of the children, whatever it is, that we don't squander it, that he can trust us to spend the money with wisdom.
And when you talk about fund deployment, there are different men. Everybody doesn't handle money the same way. There's even different temperaments in how different guys and different males see money and see fund deployment and all of that. So we're not trying to to imply in any way that everybody does this perfectly. But bottom line we're talking about is that for many men, making money and enjoying the job that you have, that all of these go hand in hand. It's great to find a great job. In other words, that's employment is very important to most men. I know there are those guys who are lazy. The Bible refers to the sluggard and the slothful man and all of that. But we're talking about on a whole, though, and that may not be your experience. Maybe your experience is men who are unemployed, job to job, really inconsistent, all of those kinds of things. And I want you to know that there's a reason. There's somewhere in his past, somewhere in his life, there's something that's there, the reason why that guy is like that, because God did not make men to be that way. He put inside of us this drive, this hunger that my wife referred to from Proverbs. He put this hunger within us to be successful and to find out for purpose and all of that. So maybe the guy that you see that's a sluggard and slothful, hold down a job, I can tell you, I believe that probably 90% of it is because he doesn't know his purpose. And he doesn't know his purpose because he doesn't know who he is. So he doesn't know his identity. He doesn't know his purpose. And so he's given up on life because whatever things he may have tried, it didn't work out. Many men are living with broken dreams, plans that they put together, and they blew it, or somebody never gave them an opportunity. Some have received opportunities and blown it. Others never got an opportunity. There's all kinds of everything from racism to gender discrimination, all kinds of things that,
or not even having a father who
who
showed them how to do things or to equip them.
Yeah. And then you have those who were born, as they say, with a silver spoon in their mouth. They're born with money already in the bank, get an inheritance, but they don't have any idea as to what they really were born into and their purpose. Just because a man can have millions of dollars still doesn't mean he knows his purpose. Still doesn't
or even knows how to deploy money.
Yeah, because when you, or in other words, what we're after is that economic security for men is connected to the work employment, his work enjoyment, and then you talk about the fun deployment. You got to see that a lot of times what drives men is or what's very frustrating is when, and that's really everybody, but we're talking about men in particular right now. It's very frustrating to just have a job to pay bills. It's just extremely frustrating, and some of you, that is what's
that's where you are.
That's where you are. So
that's
ladies,
where your mates are.
Yeah, ladies, you have to understand that when your husband, your boyfriend, or your fiance, if he's just working to pay bills, yes, he's miserable.
He's miserable.
Yes, he is. He's absolutely miserable. And you're excited. You're talking about wedding plans or things you want to buy, furniture, kids need stuff, and that's only building up more frustration. I'm not saying you shouldn't bring those things up. It's just you got to understand, if you're bringing that up, that's only communicating to him that's that much longer I have to stay in this employment that I hate. I don't have work enjoyment. I'm only working to pay bills, and you keep bringing up more bills. You keep adding on more bills. And so he's not trying to accuse you. He's not trying to point the finger at you, but it's just a reality that the more you keep bringing up the needs and the stuff that need to be paid, it only makes him feel that much more enslaved to a job or to a boss or to a system that he's trying to get freed up from, so that he can actually do what he loves to do. Many of us men, we envy us entertainers and athletes, because these guys get to do what they actually want to do, what they love to do, and get paid to do it. And so all of us, we're looking for that. Men are looking for that, the thing that I love to do, enjoy doing, and I get paid well to do it so that I can take care of my family.
And those are excellent examples of men who have ego security and economic security.
Yeah, they got ego and economic, because they're doing what, and they got people applauding them for what they do.
Even if it's just while they're on the court,
yeah,
or in front of an audience.
Because they feel good. My wife can give me a compliment, and man, I'm feeling great. And so imagine having your wife adore you, your children love you, and then all these people and fans and everything, and you're doing a good job. Plus, you get paid well to do it. And so most men that's why you see so many men aspiring to be athletes and entertainers, because that's just like the ultimate, man. Where you something you love to do and you get paid to do it, and then they hire people whether it's accountants or lawyers to handle all the fund deployment. They don't even have to worry about how everything is spent, so they can just keep focusing on what they do. But I want you to see that that's what's in mind. That's how men are thinking when we think in terms of economic security. That we want the good job, the thing I love to do that pays well, so that we can take care of my wife and my children.
The next area is spousal security.
Hold on, here we go now.
And the first topic for spousal security is sexual gratification. Don't cover your ears. Song of Solomon 7:10 says, I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. 1 Corinthians 7:1, now concerning the things which you wrote to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband render to his wife the affection due her, and likewise also the wife to her husband. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another except with consent for a time, that you both agreed upon, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, so that Satan does not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. Now we're talking about sexual gratification. I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. Thank God that the desire of your mate is towards you. Yeah. That is an awesome, powerful, beautiful, wonderful, joyous thing when your mate desires you.
Then how do you deal with this thing where so many women get frustrated because it seems like he wants sexual gratification far more than she does, or the appetite is different?
That's a very deep and long, protracted conversation.
Yes, it is.
Because there are so many different reasons for that. We would have to talk to you personally if you have a question about that. Aside from this lesson, that would take a very long time to get into. But first of all, be open and talk to him about about your desire that is not as often as his. Let him know where you are. Be open to allowing him to change your mind. I think that was the biggest thing that helped us earlier on in our marriage.
I remember the time when Dr. Clarence Walker talked to us in a couples retreat marriage thing that we had back in our home church, and he brought up this point that just totally revolutionized our life and marriage and everything. He said to everybody there, he said, guys, I want you to understand the sexual appetites of men and women. And said, first of all, men, he said to the women, the way you feel about food, the way your desire for food is the same as your husband's desire for sex. And all of the women, the light bulb turned on. Because you know how much you like to eat. Yes. And even if you are satisfied, you still want more to eat, don't you? That's how a man's sexual appetite is. And then he said, men, the way you feel about food is the way women feel about sex. Because when a man is full and he's finished eating, he doesn't want any more food. Not until he gets hungry again. And until he gets hungry again, I'm finished. And so he said, guys, think that's how women feel. They come to a point of satisfaction. I'm fine. I'm cool. I don't need, and I don't have a desire for it until I get hungry again. But then it helped both sides to understand where each of you are. That women think about it, just like you can be, your stomach can be full, but you still want more to eat.
So that's how a man feels about sex.
That's how a man feels about sex. Even though he's satisfied, but the hunger's still there.
And depending on what your experience has been and your upbringing has been, sex might not be something that is beautiful to you, or something that is clean, or something that is healthy.
If there's been abuse, if you've been abused sexually, especially at a younger age, and then you get into a relationship with someone in marriage, then every time they approach you for sex, you're going to feel like you're being raped. You're
going to feel like it's something that is nasty or
unclean,
and something repugnant.
Yeah.
And you do need professional counseling.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have it in order to have a healthy relationship.
Yep.
It is necessary, and we fully counsel you to have professional counseling.
Yes, we would. But we have to understand that this is part of a man's security, though, because
part of it is spousal security.
Because my desire is toward my wife.
Thank God.
And so when you got to understand this, ladies, think about this. My desire is for my wife. It's not for some other woman. It's for my wife. And when my wife says no, and repeatedly says no, then you're messing with a security for a man. A man's need for sex is not just is as much physical as it is for you. It's being emotional. It's physical. There's a cycle within our body, a buildup of the hormone. And the cycle lasts about 2 or 3 days. And that's why you find guys coming back every 2 or 3 days, 4 days max, and he's ready again. But you, since it's more like food, in other words, for you, it's more like, well, I'm still satisfied from last time, 2 or 3 days ago. I'm still fine from last week. I'm still okay. I don't have the hunger and the desire like that. And so I don't feel like it. Or it can be whatever went on during the day, a bad day at work, a horrible day with the kids, bills, problems.
Since we respond to things emotionally, a lot of things can affect our wanting to have sex. So and you need to be mindful of even that. Yeah. To not allow things outside to come between you and your husband, between you and your mate. I also want to bring up another point that we have come across. We have come across women who have used fasting as an excuse not to have sex.
Yeah. So, no, because I'm fasting.
But we brought up 1 Corinthians 7 specifically for that. It says, and in the 5th verse, do not deprive one another except with consent for a time. And that it says, except with consent. Amen. There has to be a consensus, which means there needs to be agreement between you and your husband about the time, how long you're going to fast, and there must be agreement about the fasting and how long the fast will go on. God knows your heart. Yeah. Even if you're lying to your mate, God knows your heart, and there is a consequence to that.
And it's not to excuse it, but you got to understand, ladies, you are communicating something when you constantly say no to your husband's advance toward you, because this is where every guy that's in the room, every guy that's listening to this is the thing that we won't say it out loud, but it's the thing that's in the back of our mind, and it is, I want you. I'm coming after you. Now, if you turning me away, then like, okay,
Where am I supposed to take this
Where
need?
am I supposed to go? And I'm not excusing the guys that have committed adultery. I'm not offering them an out. I'm not offering them a reason to go find somebody else. But I want you to understand, ladies, that you are dealing in a world where there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of women that are waiting to pounce upon that open door that you are providing the enemy. They're waiting for it.
And believe me, the enemy takes full advantage of it. I also wanted to bring up a point that you may not even be enjoying sex with your mate. You may be early in your relationship.
Yeah.
He may be doing things that you don't particularly like.
Yeah.
You need to talk about it.
You need to talk.
He is not going to automatically know what you like. I know that you would like for him to.
It's not like the movies.
But it is not Hollywood. He does not know.
No.
You have to tell him what you like and don't like.
You have to say it.
And even when you don't know, be open to experimentation.
You have to say it.